What if Titanic struck the iceberg head on? This question has already probably been answered, so I'm going to make mine a little bit more different than the others so it doesn't seem like I'm copying historic travels or that one other channel called because I'm not copying them. I just wanted to make this video and do my own take on what if Titanic struck the iceberg head on. Now without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Titanic, as many of you know, is a massive ocean liner that sank on its maiden voyage due to an iceberg. The damage that the iceberg caused was severe enough for the ship to sink. Now, would it make any difference if Titanic were to hit the berg head on? Or had the Titanic avoided the collision altogether? Like what all other people say? Well, it's complicated. First off, we'll be answering the first question, what if Titanic struck the iceberg head on? Well, it mostly depends on how fast the ship was when she first spotted the iceberg. American history, aside, says that it's 2.5 knots, while other sources say that it's 22 knots. But for the sake of not causing mass panic or confusion, we'll just go for 20.5 knots or 22 knots, whatever, but 20.5 knots is what I believe, since Captain Smith did, slow Titanic when approaching the ice field. Now, if Titanic were to hit the iceberg on like 20.5 knots, I would imagine that the bow of the Titanic would get smashed in, similar to the damage on the HMS Hawk. I like to imagine that the Titanic damage would be similar to the Hawk bow when it struck Titanic's sister ship, RMS Olympic. Now, some of you might think, oh, this is gonna cause the ship to sink. The whole front is like literally smashed in, so of course it's gonna sink. But I say no, because only watertight compartment A and B, the two holds, would be flooded. The Titanic, was designed to have 4 of her compartments compromised and still be afloat. And since 2 of her compartments had been flooded in this scenario since she struck the iceberg head on, she would still be afloat, but would be stuck on the iceberg since she slammed bow first into the berg. Now, believe it or not, icebergs aren't like very stable. They're well known for this. If the iceberg were to flip when Titanic hasn't freed her bow or what's left of her bow from the iceberg, then Titanic might flip as a result when the iceberg does flip. But that might be a far-fetched idea since Titanic herself is 52,000 ton ocean liner after all. There's still a chance that it could happen. You would never know because this is a what if scenario. There's a lot of things that could happen. But if this wasn't to happen, like the iceberg doesn't flip, then she won't sink. She could free herself if she really wanted to. Now, it's not, I'm not saying that like lives wouldn't be lost, because yes, lives will still be lost if the ship hit the iceberg head on, since there are people sleeping at like the front portion of the ship. But it won't be as devastating as like 1,500 lives lost, since Titanic doesn't have enough lifeboats for the people at the time. Remember, Titanic only had 20 of the 64 or 44 lifeboats needed for the ship. So if Titanic were to strike the berg head on, it's not gonna sink like how it did on the movies. It's just gonna stay afloat, which is a good thing. I've also saw a comment about why Starline scrapping the Titanic altogether if she was salvaged, like managed to go to Halifax like what the newspaper said, or towed to Halifax. I would say Titanic wouldn't get scrapped by the White Star Line since she was a brand new ship, far more luxurious than the Olympic, and there's a ship being built then called the Britannic. But she wouldn't be scrapped. They'll try to rebuild her new hull just like what they did with the RMS Olympic when she hit the Nantucket lightship. They would try to rebuild the front, and this has happened far more often than you would think it is. Like even battleships would have a whole entire front bow replaced once striking like another ship. Now to the second question, could had Titanic entirely avoided striking the iceberg in the first place? Now seeing that Titanic was speeding at 22 knots, if she had not reversed her engines in the first place and did hard a starboard without slowing down, then yes, Titanic could have avoided the iceberg altogether. Since the momentum of the ship, it was going fast, like the rudder would be more easier to direct that thrust from the propellers that is propelling the ship forward to turn more quickly than if were to turn quick to starboard, but with the engines reversed, that would kind of slow down the turning maneuver. But since Murdoch put Titanic in reverse in order,
Right ahead! On the starboard!
the ship struck the iceberg as a result. I don't know why they didn't do full ahead, but seeing as maritime law before it said to avoid a crash you must reverse your engines and put harder starboard, then you know maybe it's sensible for the time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's kind of a double what if, and you know that's why it's kind of long, and I moved the upload schedule or upload date to Monday and all that. So sorry for all of this confusion. Serious talk now, I have not been as motivated as making ship documentaries as before, and I think it's this burnout state I have right now because I have to force myself to make YouTube videos every single Sunday. So I might go on like a break of sorts, not like a break, like a long break, like maybe 2 days, 2 weekends without uploads, so I don't entirely burn myself out, because burnout is not cool. So yeah, so back to what I was saying. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.